Welcome to Break the Needle. I'm your host, Adam Zivo, and I'm here to guide you through Canada's problems with drugs, addiction, and crime. Now, the opioid crisis has killed roughly 50,000 Canadians since 2016. Each of these victims was a real human being, someone who at some point in their life brimmed with hope and ambition. These were people with families who now grieve their absence. They left behind parents with shattered hearts. Today, I'll be speaking with Tina Olivero, a recovery activist in St. John's, Newfoundland, who lost her son, Ben, to addiction 2 years ago. Through her organization, Guardians of Recovery, she now offers support to other families who have also lost their children. And she advocates for greater mental health and recovery oriented addiction supports. Welcome to the show, Tina.
Thank you so much. Happy to be here.
Now, before we get into your work, I'd like to ask you a general question. What are some of the common misconceptions about parents who, like yourself, have lost children to drugs?
I think probably the biggest misconception is that, it could never happen to my family. And we're seeing that that's not the case over and over again. Um, the I think the figure is the number one leading cause of death in our youth in BC is illicit drugs. That's a staggering figure. So, yeah, there's that. And then also, I guess there's a lot of stigma and blame towards parents as well. And that is not at all helpful because the person who cares most about that person dealing with addiction is the parents. And if you start to blame parents, you isolate the person with addiction from the family unit, which is the worst possible thing we can do.
Well, tell me more about this stigma and blame. What does it tend to look like in practice?
Well, people say things without thinking about it. They don't, their first knee jerk reaction is, how was that person brought up? Why do they have an addiction? It doesn't make sense at all when you start to look at the actual science and the figures and the studies. 50% of all addiction, between 50 and 80% of all substance use addiction, alcohol and drugs, is genetic. Let's start there. So, why aren't we studying the genetic patterns in families as opposed to blaming families? I mean, it's natural to want to blame someone for a crisis. It's natural, but it's not helpful. So, let's start looking at genetics in families, what's causing that, predispositions for addiction, and really, really start getting some brain scans and doing work that has us connect all the dots between the genetics of this disease.
Now, Tina, what is the most important message you can give to parents whose children are currently struggling with addiction?
When I went through it, I wish I had someone by my side. I thought I was the only one out there, and it turns out that we're actually in an absolute crisis, an epidemic. Um, I work with parents every day now, and the thing that I say to people is, "It's not your fault. You're not alone. We're here to go through it with you. And the most important thing that you can do is stand for your child no matter what." Like all these, ideas about them having to hit rock bottom and the harm and trauma that that actually causes someone with addiction. It's like saying someone with cancer has to hit rock bottom. It's absolutely ridiculous to leave people to their own devices when they have a brain illness. So I advocate with parents, I stand with parents, um, and I tell them, you know, I empower them to succeed in their situation with their child.
Now, just very quickly, how prevalent is it this belief that parents have to wait until their children hit rock bottom before they offer help?
I think it's another common misconception out there because a lot of times that's when change does happen, when someone's on death's door. And I think that's because the only thing more powerful than the drugs that are out there right now is the will to survive. So people actually have to go down that road.
Mhm.
And it's
Now,
horrific.
Tina, thank you for this. We're going to follow up this conversation when we get back after the break.
Okay, sure.